Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into the nuts and bolts of the American sports business model.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
We've got this YouTube script as a starting point, looking at how leagues like the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, pull in billions every year.
Just incredible amounts of money.
So our mission really is to break down how this whole financial engine works, what makes it tick.
It's striking, isn't it? We watch the games, love the competition, but behind the scenes, it's this incredibly sophisticated business operation.
Totally.
And this script gives us a good framework to explore how they turn sports into such a financial powerhouse.
Okay, so let's start with the money itself. Where does it all come from? Our source breaks it down into like three main buckets for the big four.
Right.
You've got media rights TV, streaming deals,
The big one?
then sponsorships and advertising,
Sure.
and finally the more traditional stuff, tickets and merchandise.
That's a good overview. And it's crucial to get that while all three are important, media rights are really the dominant force here,
They bring in the most cash.
by far. Essentially, these leagues are selling exclusive access to their live games. And in today's media world, live sport. That's incredibly valuable content.
The scale is just wild. The NFL's current deals, ESPN, Fox, NBC, totals over $110 billion.
Billion with a B.
Yeah. Our source points out that's more than the entire GDP of some countries. It really makes you rethink football, right? Why are networks paying that much?
Well, that's the key, isn't it? They pay because live NFL games deliver massive, predictable audiences.
Guaranteed eyeballs.
Exactly. In an age where everyone's watching different things on demand, that shared live experience is like gold dust for advertisers. Plus, sports are just deeply embedded in the culture.
Yeah, that shared experience factor is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And the NBA's right up there, too. Their deal with ESPN and TNT, that's what, $24 billion?
Yep. Works out to about $2.6 billion a year just for broadcast rights.
So when you see players getting these, like, $200 million contracts,
Yeah.
it starts to make sense. The league revenue is clearly there to back it up.
Oh, there's a very direct connection. That media money makes up a huge slice of the league's total income.
Right.
And through collective bargaining with the players' unions, a big chunk of that revenue gets earmarked for player salaries and benefits. So yeah, those huge contracts, they're a direct result of those massive TV deals.
Okay, so that covers where the big money flows from. Now, what about the teams themselves? Why is a single franchise worth billions?
Yeah, the valuations.
What's driving those numbers so high?
A really big factor, and the source hits this well, is what you could call monopoly power.
Monopoly power. How so?
Well, think about it. Within the top tier of U.S. pro sports, these leagues don't really have direct competitors at their level.
Yeah.
It's not like European soccer, where if you have a bad season, boom, you're relegated.
Right. Relegation isn't a thing here.
Exactly. Once you own an NFL or NBA franchise, your spot in that top league is basically guaranteed. Permanence.
That stability must be incredibly valuable, knowing you won't just drop out of the big time.
Absolutely huge. This closed system means there's a fixed, limited number of teams. Artificial scarcity, basically.
Limited supply.
Limited supply, combined with those massive, reliable revenue streams we talked about.
Creates high demand.
Precisely. And that drives the price, the value of owning a franchise, way up. Basic economics, really.
And the leagues are smart about managing that supply, too, aren't they? Like the source mentions the NBA looking at Vegas and Seattle for expansion.
Right. It's very calculated.
It's not just adding teams for the sake of it.
No, it's about strategically growing the league's overall value, which in turn makes every existing owner's piece of the pie worth even more. They control when and where expansion happens.
It's a powerful position.
Very. By choosing new markets carefully, they boost the exclusivity, the desirability of owning a team. It just reinforces the whole financial structure.
And the numbers are just incredible. Dallas Cowboys, what, $9 billion valuation?
Around that, yeah. Astonishing.
New York Knicks, $6.5 billion. Even teams you might think of as smaller market, like the Cubs or Celtics, they're over $4 billion now. And we just saw the Dallas Mavericks sell for $3.5 billion. That makes these abstract numbers very real.
It really does. Those figures tell you everything about the financial strength and, crucially, the perceived security of owning one of these teams.
Yeah.
Guaranteed revenue, no relegation risk, controlled supply. It all adds up to those multi-billion-dollar price tags.
Okay, let's pivot a bit to the players. Player salaries. We hear about salary caps all the time. NFL, NBA.
Right.
The usual idea is they're like strict spending limits, but our source suggests it's maybe more complicated.
Yeah, that's a really important point. The script nails it. Salary caps often work less like a hard ceiling and more like a way to manage revenue sharing. Between the owners and the players, yes, but also between the richer teams and the less wealthy ones.
So teams can spend over the cap.
Oh, yeah. There are usually exceptions, loopholes, luxury taxes,
right.
ways around it.
Okay, like the NBA example. The cap is around $136 million per team, right?
Roughly, yeah.
But then you have teams like the Warriors spending way over that, maybe $200 million or more because of the luxury tax.
Exactly. They pay a penalty, the luxury tax, for exceeding the threshold.
And that tax money, interestingly, gets shared out among the smaller market teams.
It's designed as a kind of equalization measure, a way to help foster competitive balance or at least financial stability across the league.
Does it actually work? Does it create real parity?
That's debatable. It definitely helps smaller market teams financially, gives them more resources to compete for players.
Okay.
But does it completely level the playing field? Probably not. Big market teams often still have built-in advantages, bigger local media deals, more sponsorship opportunities.
Other revenue streams.
Exactly. But the tax system is still vital. It prevents things from getting completely out of control financially and helps keep those smaller market franchises viable.
It's a different story in the NFL, though, with contracts, isn't it?
Yeah, significantly different.
Our source mentions how most NFL contracts aren't fully guaranteed. That seems like a huge deal for players.
It is. It creates a very different negotiation dynamic. We saw it with Lamar Jackson pushing hard for a fully guaranteed contract, which is much more the norm for star players in the NBA.
So what's the impact of that lack of guarantees in the NFL?
Well, for the teams, it gives them more financial flexibility. If a player gets injured or their performance drops off, the team isn't necessarily locked into paying out the full contract value. Less long-term risk for the owners.
What more risk for the players?
Definitely. Players have to keep performing at a high level year after year to secure their earnings. It puts the onus and the risk much more squarely on them compared to, say, their NBA counterparts with guaranteed deals. It really shapes how contracts are negotiated.
Okay, looking forward now, what's next for this whole model? It doesn't feel static. Things are changing, right?
Oh, absolutely. The sports business landscape is always shifting. The source flags a few key trends.
Like what?
First off, legalized sports betting. That's already having a massive impact.
You see it everywhere now.
Exactly. The NFL alone is apparently pulling in around $2 billion a year just from gambling partnerships since the rules changed back in 2018.
$2 billion, that's a whole new revenue river they tapped into.
A huge one. And it changes the fan experience too, doesn't it? More integrated betting odds, specific segments on broadcasts.
Yeah, the leagues are definitely leaning into engaging fans who bet.
No question. Secondly, there's the big shift towards direct-to-consumer streaming.
Moving away from traditional cable.
Precisely. Think NBA League Pass, or now NFL Sunday Ticket, moving over to YouTube. Leagues want that direct connection with fans, more control over distribution.
What does that mean for us, the fans, though?
Well, the potential downside for you is maybe needing multiple subscriptions to catch all the games you want.
Yeah, fragmentation could get expensive.
It could. It's a challenge. And finally, there's the push for global expansion.
Taking the games international.
Definitely. The NBA has been active in Europe and Asia for ages. The NFL is playing more and more regular season games overseas, Germany, London.
Trying to build a bigger fan base.
Yeah, exactly. It's about finding new markets, new fans, and ultimately new revenue streams outside North America. How are they actually doing that on the ground?
Well, the NBA seems focused on grassroots stuff, right? Like local leagues, development programs.
Building from the ground up.
Whereas the NFL feels more like they're showcasing the big event, the spectacle, with those international games, hoping that hooks people.
Different approaches, but the same goal. Growth. Finding new ways to expand in a world that's more connected than ever.
So wrapping this up, when you look at this whole American sports business model, this incredibly profitable system, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is it just brilliant business strategy, or is it, fundamentally driven by the bottom line, by profit above all else? It's something for you to chew on.
Yeah, and maybe building on that, think about the sheer scale of the money involved, this changing media landscape, the global ambitions. What are the ripple effects? What are the potential long-term impacts on society, on culture, that go beyond just who wins the game? That's a really interesting and maybe complex question to ponder long after you stop listening.